This must be Alonso Garcia de la Rica's palace. Imposing building, but it looks like it is locked. Is there really no one at home? The garden of the palace. Maybe I will manage to get into the house from here.
Good afternoon. Can I help you?
Good afternoon. I am looking for Mr. Alonso Garcia de la Rica. Please announce my arrival. I am Professor Hunt from London.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't.
You can't? And why? It is absolutely necessary I talk to him.
I'm sorry, but Mr. Garcia de la Rica is not in.
Oh, so he has truly departed.
So you already know. Well, he has already departed with his son.
And when do they return from the trip?
I'm expecting them next Wednesday, sir. Please, come back next week. Goodbye.
Please wait. Maybe you could help me.
Really? Hugo. Just call me Hugo.
Thank you, Hugo.
What can I help you with?
I need help in a delicate matter.
I'm at your disposal.
You must have heard that the young Francisco Candelas was imprisoned on charges of theft.
Naturally I have. A very sad case.
May I ask you what you think of it?
Look, I'm not in the habit of stating my opinion. And then, Professor, if I am right, you are not an investigator or someone like that. And I have stated everything I know into Rioyo's record book.
I see. You are immensely loyal to your master. Well, thank you, Hugo. I don't think you can help.
Wait! You must really understand why I am distrustful. I can't have known which side you are on, Professor. Now, something tells me that you are asking for help from me to have the Candelas boy acquitted.
Well,
Because I have to admit that I am really sorry about all that happened. And I don't believe at all that that nice boy is a thief. I would be glad to help if I can.
I don't know if you can, but you could try. As a first step towards getting Francisco out, it is essential that I talk to him to get the details from him. However, the police sergeant won't let me near him unless Mr. Garcia de la Rica releases an authorization for me. I would be grateful if you pressured the master of the house in a telegram to do so.
I see. Well, it is absolutely impossible. I have no idea where and how that telegram would reach him. But there may be another solution. But of course, I would be risking my job.
As I have mentioned, I would be grateful.
I can very convincingly forge Alonso Garcia de la Rica's signature.
Great. Would you do it?
I think so, yes. I'm not saying it doesn't bother me that such a treasure can be stolen from this house just like that, but to condemn an innocent boy just because someone must be made a scapegoat, deep inside my sense of justice protests. Though I had thought that this ability had long ago died in me, being in this position.
You are a decent man, Hugo, and in gratitude...
Please, don't give me any money, Professor. But you could help me to make money.
I can promise that. How can I help, then?
I have a stamp. My brother, who lives in France and is an experienced stamp collector, says that it is not a worthless specimen. But for me, it is, as long as it is a stamp.
Where could I sell it for you?
There is an antique dealer nearby, a certain Pablo Arriaga, around the middle of Calais de Aranjuez. He is the only one in the area who also deals in stamps.
But why don't you do it, Hugo?
The reason is simple, Professor. The origin of the stamp is doubtful, so to say. And then, such a dealer, besides being a potential spy, can easily cheat a simple butler like myself. But not an English traveler. You understand me, Professor, don't you?
I understand. How much is this stamp worth?
According to my brother, it is worth at least 1,600 pesetas. But you know what? If you get 1,500 out of that dealer, I'd be happy. He wouldn't give me more than 1,000, that's for sure. Will you do it for me?
Of course I will. May I ask you what kind of stamp this is and where it comes from? You know, I don't want to get into any trouble.
Don't worry, Professor. There's no danger here. I discovered a book for myself when I was cleaning the library that contained an envelope. An empty envelope folded in which the stamp lay unused, but nothing else.
Some writing? A letter? Message?
No, nothing. Maybe somebody wanted to post the book itself to a distant friend, because it would have fit in the envelope. And then there's a second copy of the book in the library.
Interesting. Do you have any idea whose book that might have been?
One thing is sure. It's not Mr. Alonso's. He does not read books on wine production. It must certainly be his father-in-law's, who gave his whole library to the son-in-law from the marriage of the late Mrs. Alma Garcia de la Rica. The bookshelves looked handsome in the brand-new palace. Mr. Rosel Martino was a lord, and he was interested in a famous vineyard region. But the book and the stamp, judging from their age, could also have been his father's.
Why? How old is that stamp?
It comes from 1854, so it is exactly 50 years old. According to my brother, it is a rarity because of its color. A stamp with the value of 1 real with a coat of arms. Very few of them were made in light blue. The normal version may be worth perhaps 50 to 60 pesetas. But this one, here, is a small fortune.
Aha, now I understand. Thank you for telling me. Hugo, could I have that book, too, together with the stamp? You said there was a duplicate. Maybe no one will miss it if I take it.
Why not, Professor? I have never seen Mr. Alonso take down a single book off the shelves. What is more, I found this one behind a row of books when I was doing the cleaning. I'll find it by the time you're back. But are you interested in wine production in Spain, Professor?
Who knows, my friend? Who knows?
It is a beautiful sword indeed, but I was never particularly interested in weapons. I don't know much about them either. And I have to say this attitude can be tolerated a lot, even here, in the homeland of the famous blade of Toledo, although it is neither very popular nor common. Few people have visited the palace recently, but all regarded the Candela sword highly. More than one offered large sums for it. Mr. Fernandez, a retired general, actually fell in love with it. And Count Hungria, the playboy, and Arriaga, the dealer, both admired it. However, Mr. Alonso would not part with the treasure for any amount of money. A good butler either speaks well of his employer or says nothing at all.
Then at least tell me something good about him, Hugo.
I can't say much good. You know, everything changed some years ago. Everything ended with the sudden death of Mrs. Alma Garcia de la Rica. The light and comfort left the house forever, just as it left Mr. Alonso's eyes. A promising political career fell apart, and friendships fell prey to bitterness. This man is no longer the man he was 10 years ago, Professor. He won't speak to anyone except his son, and when he does, he is crude and grumpy. He is feared around Toledo, but he has considerable influence in Madrid as well. It seems his artlessness increases his authority. Francisco is a decent, hard-working young man. He had been working in the house for weeks, making and repairing knobs, putting bars on the windows in the back. He arrived on time every morning, and he left in the evening only after he had finished the day's work. Naturally, Mr. Alonso was irritable with him too, but he was never bothered by this. He always behaved respectfully.
Could he see the famous sword?
Of course. The sword hung over the landing in a central place, and he passed it every day. To tell you the truth, I saw him admiring the sword more than once, even caressing it.
Oh. And have you perhaps told this to the police?
Unfortunately, yes.
But all this was perhaps nothing more on his part than a natural manifestation of resigned attachment.
Yes, I know. I feel I owe that boy. The old swordsmith? He wasn't a rare visitor to the house earlier. Then the friendship stopped when all cheerfulness stopped. The old Candelas brought the sword to Mr. Alonso around then. I never understood his purpose. I don't understand it to this day. Francisco's mother? I don't know her personally. The painter's daughter, if I'm not mistaken. No, I don't remember meeting her. But she is said to be a very pretty woman. The young Eugenio has been referring to her lately as his future bride. Well, I don't envy such a vain guy's future bride at all. The painter was a great man. May he rest in peace. Traveled around the world, a person of European thinking. Not like some of the backward characters here in the area. He had a good understanding of and was interested in everything. Be it painting, music, photography, history, politics, sports. He used to be a regular visitor in our house some time ago. And I had the good fortune of having longer conversations with him in the garden several times. Mr. Diaz Palencia highly appreciated the garden, which is under my care. Thank God I have little business with the police. But I wouldn't have much to talk about with this Rayollos. I consider him a rude man. Fortunately, nothing much happens in this neighborhood. Not enough for us to require a sharp and commanding policeman. Innocent character. Although I used to be uneasy about him. Mr. Alonso happened to say once that one had to be careful with people like him because they are usually recruited to become spies. They see everything and know everything. But I have known Domingo too long to believe it.
May I ask what a French butler is doing serving a Spanish master?
Well, it is a long and unpleasant story. Please, don't ask me about it.
Something tells me you weren't planning on this profession when you were young.
Come, is there anyone who plans on being a butler? But you are right. I used to be on the other side of things at home for a long time, so to say. Then something happened. I'm doing penance, Professor. Yeah, it should be enough now. I only dare to say so much because, on the one hand, you are a stranger. On the other hand, we have become accomplices. Do you understand me?
Of course, and you can count on my secrecy. Thank you for your help, Hugo. I'll be back soon.
I'll be waiting for you, Professor. Meanwhile, I'll prepare what you've requested. See you later.